please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Thank you. Well, there goes the bell, and it's a very flat opening. Nifty 5,777, so it's 7 points higher.
Rupee has weakened, and it looks like the dollar index globally seems to be on a rising path with rising US yields. So that again is adding to the momentum in the IT sector.
The margins over the last year or so, particularly EBITDA and then at the PAT level, have had a real boost from that other operating income.
We gather from sources with direct knowledge that Manipal TPG is ready to relax some of those conditions. In fact, there's a climb down coming in from Manipal TPG.
Indices are, quite dull, though the mid-caps are moving up as we speak, so there has been some recovery from the low point, and flat is good when you compare it with the rest of the Asian markets.
Of course, driven by expiry and also earnings from Yes Bank. What this has done is it's given you a bit of a floor to work with. The recent lows, I think this market wants to defend 10,550 on the Nifty. This market wants to defend 24,750, there about 800 on the Bank Nifty. And right now, let's see if the market has enough firepower finally to take out that 10,620, 650 kind of zone.
A late bounce ensures markets end the April series on a high note. The Nifty ends above 10,600, Sensex gains over 200 today.
IT stocks continue to rally. TCS, Infosys, Mindtree lead the charge, but Wipro tumbles 2% after a dismal quarterly performance.
Leverage stocks ended in the red today. GMR Infra, Adani Power, etc. take a hit. On the other hand, metals see a mixed bag. Index loses 1%, but Nalco, JSW Steel, Jindal Steel all ended the green.
Yes Bank spikes after fourth quarter earnings beat expectations thanks to robust loan growth. Board has approved the reappointment of Rana Kapoor as CEO for another 3 years.
PC Jeweler stages a recovery but ends the day 3% in the red. The stock surged after management clarified to CNBC TV 18 that promoter stake has fallen due to gifting of some shares by promoters to family members. Adds that there is no intention on the part of the promoters to pare stake in the near future. Well, those were the top 5 headlines from what was a hectic day of trading. Hello and welcome to Markets Today Talk Back, the show where we tell you about all the excitement of all the 8 hours of trading in just 5 headlines. And today was particularly hectic because it's the expiration of the April contract. It's a contract which has been extremely rewarding. We'll tell you all the details. I'm Lata Venkatesh, with me my colleague Prashant Nayak. Hi Prashant.
Hi Lata. So 45 points on the Nifty. At one point it looked like it would be absolutely flat, but decent closing. Over the next 30 minutes, as Lata pointed out, 5 stories which defined the day. Our experts will answer your questions. So to do that, today we have our experts Mayuresh Joshi and technical expert Sudarshan Sukhani joining in. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with us here on the show. Let's quickly first wrap up the day's trading action. In terms of what really happened, what drove things, apart from, of course, earnings and especially Yes Bank. Lata.
Well, I think today we saw the reinforcement of the range. We've been moving from 10,550 to 10,620 or 30. And while yesterday we ended at the lower part of the range, today we've ended at the higher end of the range. But I think there were some tailwinds as well. The global markets, which were global equities, which seemed to be giving in to bond pressures over the last 24 hours, have prevailed over the bond pressures to some extent. But I think the key clearly lies with earnings, especially Yes Bank, which with excellent disclosures has kind of defied the skeptics, or at least beaten the skepticism surrounding. Growth was never an issue with this bank. It was the skepticism surrounding the asset quality, and they have beaten that with some exhaustive and excellent disclosures. Market at the moment is satisfied also with the continuation of the management that singly added, I believe, some 130 points to the Nifty Bank. Now we will have to see whether Axis Bank and Reliance together with their growth momentum are able to beat and take the index above the defined level. Will they be able to take the index over the 10,630 mark is what the rest of the week will tell us.
You know, let's also quickly wrap up stocks in terms of what really happened. So as always, we spend 10 seconds looking at sectors where there was weakness and there was strength. So strength first, FMCG, we found strength. Private banks, we found strength. Yes Bank, of course, and IT. Of course, I mean, nothing came really close to dominating a trade today like Yes Bank. Nothing came close to Yes Bank, but and that showed up in the Bank Nifty and the private bank index. Weakness, so PSU banks, nothing really to excite that corner of the market. Nifty infrastructure and real estate. Infra and real estate has done pretty well now for the last couple of days, so there was some profit booking coming in. So large stocks which moved, Yes Bank 8% plus, Lever was up 2.25%, TCS was up 2%. So just three names. Lower stocks which moved low, Bharti Infratel, Bharti Airtel. So those two were down. Lupin was down about 2 3/4. Dr. Reddy's was another pharma stock, large cap, which was lower. And then there was Wipro, which ended the day in the red. Big stocks which were higher, I mean, from the broader space, you had names like BF Utilities, large volumes. Look at NIIT Technologies. SRF was a big mover. Mindtree came up with gains. HDFC Standard Life. We have these life insurance companies, ICICI Pru, for example, which has seen big moves last 2 days. Edelweiss was another NBFC, which was up 4% by close. And stocks which moved lower. So Syngene results, we spoke with the management, 5.5 lower. DCM Shriram, it's been a big outperformer, was down 12%, large volumes for that name. Idea was down about 4%, 4.25. Reliance Naval, I mean, actually, you could look at other RCOM and other ADAG stocks. There was cut, but Naval was the big one, 15%. And then Bhushan Steel and PC Jewelers. PC Jewelers, I mean, I think the way to put it is 14% off the lows, but still closed about 3% lower. And look at the volumes, 57 million shares.
Absolutely. Well, over-leveraged stocks like Reliance Naval, for even because of the auditors' comments, are continuing to pay the price. But anyway, all leveraged stocks are getting a bit of a beating. Let's find out what our experts make of the way the markets have closed. Sudarshan, directly to you. Now ending at the higher point of the range, but still not breaking the range. Do you think, I mean, you started the day by saying that you would sell the highs, if any. Has that sentiment changed at all?
Yeah, good afternoon, Lata. See how half an hour or 1 hour changes sentiments in the markets. And luckily, technical traders like us are very flexible. We adapt. So today's price close, as you were just explaining, is very constructive for the bulls. This was a trading range, and the trading range, 1.5-day trading range, broke decisively on the upside. This is the 1-day trading range. Now, we have still not crossed that final hurdle of 10,640. But that the next 2 days will tell us. But we are almost there. So the bulls now have to make a very little effort to cross that hurdle and change the texture of the market completely. So tomorrow and Monday should perhaps tell us whether we are going ahead with another 200 points of a rally or not. But today the bulls certainly have the upper hand, and tomorrow morning, unless something unusual happens, we should be buyers in the Nifty.
Sure.
Okay, buys in the Nifty unless something unusual happens, and that unusual can happen from overnight markets.
From the US bond markets or something.
Well, let's move on to the second headline of the day. IT stocks continued their northward march. The likes of TCS, Infosys, Mindtree were all up between 1 and 2%. Wipro was the lone exception after posting dismal numbers for the fourth quarter. The stock was down about 2%. In fact, we spoke with Mihir Vora, Director and CIO at Max Life Insurance, who said that a rebound in interest in the IT sector is very much happening. Listen in.
IT, it's been an interesting ride over the last 3 months. While numbers have been mixed, as you mentioned, there have been some positive surprises. But I think the bigger driver is the fact that the US economy seems to be doing better than what was expected. The tax cuts which are coming through is leading to expectations that corporate America will up its spending on IT and other investments, and that's the reason why we are seeing a good trend towards IT stocks. The other factor driving is the fact that rupee has weakened, and it looks like the dollar index globally seems to be on a rising path with rising US yields. So that again is adding to the momentum.
Well, clearly tech stocks are in an orbit of their own for some time now. And we have a question coming in from a Twitter user, Anjaneyulu. His question is on Tech Mahindra, has 500 shares of that company bought at 410 rupees. And Anjaneyulu wants to know if he should hold or sell. That's 500 shares of Tech Mahindra at 410. Mayuresh, no timeline given, but are you constructive on this stock?
I am, Lata, and again I think if the investor intends to hold this stock for 12 months or more,
I think there is still some juice left in the stock. What you're probably talking in terms of their organic communication business is it is expected to be gradually recovering, and what we've probably seen over the past few quarters, it should aptly get reflected in the dollar revenue earnings for the company as well as the constant currency earnings. So EBIT margins should hold up, and as the parameters that you've probably seen for a lot of the other large cap players, you're probably going to see gradual increase also in the utilization levels and attrition levels coming down. So I think all the key parameters probably should be in their favor. So yes, if it's a 12-month plus view, I think a clear hold from my side.
Another viewer who's got a question is Mandeep, and the question is on Sterlite Technologies. He's got 100 shares of Sterlite Tech bought at an average price of 273 rupees. Wants to know if he should add more or sell. Let's get a fundamental view first. Mayuresh, Sterlite Tech, if you track it.
Absolutely, Prashant. And again, the numbers that the company has posted, I think a very strong set of numbers. And the confidence again that the management is probably reposes the faith in terms of the capex that they're probably doing is in the right direction. Again, exports around 54% of their overall contribution. But again, with a lot of government schemes that are expected to probably give it the necessary leverage for the capacities that they're building up. Around 40,000 odd by end of 19. We've already got the capacity to increase to around 50 odd by FY20. So again, as utilization levels pick up and there are targets of maintaining the profitability of $100 million odd by FY20, I think even if they are getting close to that, I think the stock still looks interestingly poised in terms of growth. So yes, again, I think if it's a 12-month plus view, a clear hold from my side.
Okay. Sudarshan, would like your view as well. I think in the last 1 year, it's moved more than doubled from April to April. If I take the stock, I think it's risen from 150 to 450 thereabouts. The viewer has not given us a timeline, but is the short-term trend higher?
Well, yes. It's been consolidating for a few weeks now, and that consolidation should break on the upside. I think an immediate rally towards the earlier highs of 400 or so is imminent and likely. So this is a very good share to be in. Hold on, be patient, and you'll get much more money. You means the person who asked the question.
Point taken. Okay. With that, let's move to the third headline of the day. Nifty Metal ended the day flat. However, several metal stocks like Nalco, JSW Steel, Jindal Steel all ended in the green. However, on the other hand, leveraged stocks did not have a very good run. Reliance Naval was one of them. It has more problems than just leverage. Adani Power, GMR Infra, all of them ended in the red.
We've got questions now. Twitter user Prakash has 10,000 shares of Reliance Communication purchased at 35 rupees a share. I mean, he wants advice as to whether he should hold or sell. I mean, Sudarshan, what would you say? Arcom?
See, I've never recommended Arcom. So for me, it's very difficult to imagine somebody holding those shares. Okay. There is really a fundamental answer to this. Is there any possibility of a rally or a revival or something else? On the charts, you can't hold it. You have to get out even now. But perhaps a fundamental view could be different.
Absolutely. I mean, going by the way, of course, telecom.
I don't know how much different from the technical view it can be.
I can imagine. So let's not get to the fundamental view. It's in a state of semi-NCLT. Most of the assets are going to be sold off. So playing this kind of a game can be very dangerous. But we don't know in Reliance Communications what the residual company, what form it will take. But let's get to the next question. This is coming from Nadeem Ghogari. He has 250 shares of GMR Infra bought at 22 rupees a share. Wants to know if he should hold or sell. Well, another leverage stock. Mayuresh, what would you advise?
Well, again, this stock has tested the patience of a lot of investors, and though there is inherent value in the stock in terms of what they can actually do in terms of their land bank and their core business operations actually improving in terms of their cash flow yields improving over the next few years, I think patience will be of key virtue here. But again, I think if one is looking at a 12 to 15 month horizon, my own sense is that why not look at other stocks? So I think why not look at stocks like a Yes Bank, for example, which has given an exemplary set of numbers, or even an RBL bank from the private banking space. Look at road companies, in my opinion, again, KNR Construction,
very strong order book. You've got revenue visibility over the next 1.5 to 2 years. Very little debt on its books, very little working capital requirements. So I think look out for these stories where the earnings momentum can be extremely strong and cash flows also will remain strong. So my opinion is, I think look for these stocks if you've got a 12-15 month view. GMR will test your patience over the next 2 to 3 years.
Back as always, we wrap up the day's events, take questions. Our experts are with us. Mayuresh Joshi and Sudarshan Sukhani have been answering your questions. We got through the first 3 headlines, 3 stories of the day. Let's get to the 4th one. Yes Bank, I mean, how can we get away from Yes Bank today? It surged about 8.5% after posting a strong Q4 earnings. The stock was up, massively. Markets were also satisfied with the exhaustive disclosures provided by the company. And of course, the reappointment of the Managing Director and CEO, Rana Kapoor. Abhishek Kothari is now with us with a quick breakdown of the numbers. Abhishek, over to you.
Well, Prashant, as you mentioned, board has approved the reappointment of Mr. Rana Kapoor as the MD and CEO with effective from September 1st for 3 years subject to RBI approval. So loan growth at 54%, that is the highest loan growth seen over the last 8 to 10 quarters for Yes Bank. Net interest margin, however, was on lower side, coming in at 3.4 versus 3.5% sequentially. But the overall stress in the balance sheet has reduced. The slippages have declined sequentially. Gross NPA has declined sequentially, and the other stressed assets like SDR, S4A, 5/25, etc. have actually reduced on a sequential basis. So therefore, the street took a thumbs up to this kind of a robust loan growth, which was not anticipated because analysts were working with a loan growth of 30 to 35%. So the key to the earnings of Yes Bank was the robust loan growth and the decline in stressed assets. Back to you.
Okay, I take your point. The decline in stressed assets was important, but for me what was even more impressive was that very exhaustive disclosures saying that they've gone through cases above 5,000 crore, found nil stressed assets, 2,000 to 5,000 crore, some 300, 400 crore of stress. Cases below 1,000 crore, negligible stress. I mean, they've given you chapter and verse that, they have not found stress. So that's important. A quick technical and fundamental view. Sudarshan, technical view on Yes Bank?
Well, Yes Bank had a very attractive chart even before today's rally. There's more upside. While the very short term could be consolidation, somebody looking for an investing idea can buy even now. There's significant up move ahead. And
Mayuresh, quickly.
Oh, I like the stock, Lata. Again, the disclosure that you mentioned, I think exhaustive, the asset quality prices and ebbing off. You're probably looking at loan growth sustaining at higher levels. Rana Kapoor reappointed. You're probably looking at the request taken for capital raising at their behest. So nothing to complain about. I remain positive on the stock.
Okay, so that is yes to Yes Bank. Last headline of the day, PC Jeweler staged a big recovery, about 14% from the lows, but ended the day 3% lower on from yesterday's close. The stock surged after the management clarified to CNBC TV 18 that the promoter stake has fallen due to a gift of shares by promoters to, some family. And that there was no intention, the management clarified, to pare stake in the near future. Let's quickly listen in to what they told us.
Panamchand Gupta, out of his entire holding of more than 25% in the company, has gifted some part to someone in his family, given the very fact that he is not involved in the business and the promoter stakeholding still remains very comfortably above the 51%. There is no management change. There is no change in the company's strategy. There is no change in the company's operating effectiveness because of this thing. So it's a personal decision which he took.
Fair point. We have a question, but before we come to that question, okay, let me get to, because Manisha Hans Rajani has the same question that I have. She has, of course, 1,000 shares of PC Jeweler. Okay, it's he bought it at 377 rupees. He wants to know if he should hold or sell. Sudarshan, that's his question. My question simply is, what are the charts saying?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, exactly. Are the charts showing that the downturn is over at all, PC Jewelers?
No, Lata, today we had new lows in the stock. The stock has fallen from 550 to 200. There is no end of the downturn, and I don't think the markets are giving a message of a thumbs up. So now somebody who bought at 350 has a problem. But this chart is not going up, the stock price is not going up in a hurry. It's going to take a long time, if at all it goes up.
Okay, that's a very telling answer to Mr. Hans Rajani on what he should do with his shares. We still have a minute more, and so Mayuresh, any other jewelry stock you will recommend?
I think Titan still remains, Lata, the best out of the pack, both in terms of the pedigree of the management and the kind of earnings expectations, 20-25% expected. Studded jewelry expected to also improve its share within the overall business, so the EBIT margin should hold up for the company. Though the valuations might be on the higher side, I think out of all the gold, the gems and jewelry pack, probably Titan still remains one of the preferred bets with a long-term view.
All right, Titan, of course, jewel in the crowd perhaps for the moment. Thank you very much, Mayuresh and Sudarshan, for staying up with us and answering all the questions of our viewers. It's been a good day for the bulls. Let's see if tomorrow is better. We will wrap up this edition of Markets Today. Talk back